religious minorities or sexual minorities, no matter what the issue, the narrative has to change. I'm trying to change the narrative about race. I think we've got a narrative in this country about racial difference that we have never, ever confronted. I think we are absolutely contaminated by our history of racial inequality. It affects everything we do. It doesn't take very much, even in spaces like NYU, for someone to say something or do something that creates distrust and doubt about our willingness to deal honestly with this history. We have been compromised by our failure to change the narrative. So at our project and in my class, Racial Justice Law class, we spend a lot of time figuring out how to change the narrative. And we're actually talking about slavery. I'm spending a lot of time talking about slavery. Why are you talking about slavery? It's the 21st century. Well, I'm talking about slavery because we've never talked about the damage that was done in this country by enslavement. America wasn't like a lot of countries every day. Countries all over the world.
They want to lick my bottle and they want to lick yours. Because they do what perverts do.
Slaves in Asia, they did. But most of those countries were societies with slaves. We were something different in America. We became a slave society. We actually created a narrative of racial difference to legitimate our experience with slavery. We didn't want people to just be allowed to own other human beings. We wanted them to be allowed to own other human beings and still feel moral and Christian and just. And that meant we had to create a narrative about the differences between people who are black and people who are not. And that narrative of racial difference, that ideology of white supremacy, was never addressed. The great evil of American slavery for me was not involuntary servitude, it was not forced labor, it was this narrative of racial difference. And the 13th Amendment doesn't do anything about the narrative. The Emancipation Proclamation doesn't do anything about white supremacy. And because of that, I don't believe slavery ended in 1865. I think it just evolved.
Right.
It turned into an era where this narrative of racial difference created continued suffering and oppression. We put people in jails and prisons during the convict leasing era. We lynched thousands of people. We just put out a report about lynching in America because we're trying to reshape and redefine the era between the end of Reconstruction and World War II as an era dominated by terrorism. We use that word very purposely because for people of color in this country, their lives were shaped by terrorism. Lynchings were individual acts aimed at individuals. They weren't rogue crimes committed. They were acts of terror. And they traumatized millions of people of color. In 1900, 90% of the African American population in this country lived in the South. In a few decades, millions had fled the South because they were fleeing this terror. Black people came to Chicago and Cleveland lost in the work. If you know anything about the needs of a refugee community, you know that there's this trauma that has to be addressed if you want that community to succeed. We've never dealt with it. Older people come up to me sometimes and they say, Mr. Stevens, I get so angry when I hear somebody on TV talking about how we're dealing with terrorism for the first time in American history after 9/11. You see, we grew up in terrorism. It provokes us, it bothers us when somebody doesn't acknowledge their history. So we need to change that narrative. We're talking about all of the lynchings. We have this report. We've identified about 700 more lynchings of African Americans that had previously been identified. We've got a project. We want to put markers and monuments at every lynching site in America. My class has been talking about the strategies that have to be developed to persuade people who are resistant to this history and to get them to understand we've got to do this. Even when we talk about civil rights in America, I don't think we've actually had a very honest conversation in that era. Now, just because it's been the 50th anniversary, just come back, some in all these places, I'm a little worried, to be honest, because when I hear people talk about civil rights, it's just this wonderful, you say the word civil rights and everybody just starts applauding, and they smile, and everybody feels good. Everybody gets to celebrate. There are no qualifying questions you have to answer before you're allowed to celebrate civil rights. We had 100 congressional representatives come to Selma. Several of whom will not vote for an expansion of the voting rights act because they don't think that that's related to being in Selma. And we are so superficial. I actually hear people talking about the civil rights movement, and it sounds like this freedom carnival. On day one, Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat on her bus. On day two, Dr. King led a march on Washington. And on day three, we just changed all these laws. And if that was our history, man, we are an amazing country. But that's not our history. Our history is that for decades, we humiliated people of color in this country. We humiliated them. For decades, we brutalized people of color. For decades, we marginalized people of color. For decades, we injured people of color. For decades, we reinforced this narrative of racial difference. For decades, we allowed this presumption of dangerousness and guilt to be assigned to every black and brown person we saw. For decades, we allowed a generation of white people to believe that they are better than other people because of their skin color. And that abuse we've never corrected. So I think we actually have to change the narrative. We've got to commit ourselves to a process that's more like truth and reconciliation. We've got to tell the truth about American slavery. We've got to tell the truth about our experience with terrorism in America. We've got to tell the truth about what segregation has done to us. And we don't do it. I live in Alabama. You come to Alabama, and all you see is this rhetoric and a narrative about how glorious mid-19th century life was. We've got 59 monuments and markers to the Confederacy in the city of Philadelphia. 59. Our two largest high schools are Robert E. Lee. They're both 90 New York. Confederate Memorial Day is a state holiday. Jefferson Davis's birthday is a state holiday. We don't even have Martin Luther King Day in Alabama. We have Martin Luther King / Robert E. Lee Day. And this narrative has never been confronted. And so we decided to put up these markers in my street, Montgomery 122 Commerce Street, for our students to come and work during the clinic. It's in the heart of the most active slave trading space in America. Between 1850 and 1865, tens of thousands of enslaved people came into the country, and we don't talk about it. So we had to put up these markers in order to try to change that narrative. You go to South Africa, and people will tell you that the process of truth and reconciliation after apartheid was essential. You go to Rwanda, and people will tell you that we will not recover from the genocide until we commit space to talk honestly about their history. Even in Germany now, you are not allowed to go to Berlin and avoid dealing with the Holocaust, because everywhere you go are markers and monuments and stones reminding you of the families that were adopted and sent to the concentration camps. You're encouraged to go to the camps and reflect so little of the history of the Holocaust. We do the opposite in this country. We just try to play it off. We don't talk about that history. We get mad when people even start using the word race. We get tense and we avoid it. And it's allowed this presumption of dangerousness and guilt to persist. You want to understand what's going on in the person, then you need to understand this narrative of racial difference. You want to do something about what happened to Eric Garner in Staten Island, you're going to have to do something about this narrative of racial difference. If you want to make a difference in the world, you're going to have to confront it. And for you, students of color and people of color, don't think that your JD will insulate you from a presumption of dangerousness and guilt. It'll work like that. It's just that insidious. I was in a court just 2 years ago doing a hearing for a young kid in the Midwest. I'm sitting at the defense counsel table. First time I've been in this courtroom. I was there to do the hearing. I got there early, so I instructed my students to do, ready to do the hearing. And I was sitting there in my suit, in my tie, my shirt. The judge walked in. The judge saw me sitting at the defense counsel's table, and he said, hey, you get out of here. I don't want any defendants sitting in my courtroom without their lawyer. You go back out there in the hallway and wait till your lawyer gets here. And I stood up and I said, oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Brian Stevenson. I am the lawyer. And the judge started laughing, and the prosecutor started laughing, and I made myself laugh because I didn't want to disadvantage my client. And then my client came, and a young white kid was representing at this hearing. And we did the hearing, but afterward I was